Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Welcome to Friday, everyone, and another episode of The Lock Shop, and it's a big one. We've got our best bets and our partner parlay and our touchdown scores and our other parlays jammed into one gigantic episode heading into the weekend. 3 NFL games on Saturday, so if we're going to include them, we had to do it today. That's why we've got this. And, of course, Lock Shop, as always, presented by our wonderful partners at Coolbet. Sign up for an account today using the code LOCKSHOP. Haas, you ready for Week 15, buddy?
Well, I am. I mean, listen, we got off to a nice start last night.
Yeah.
I mean, both hit the side, both hit the total. I just came short of those receiving yards, but man, Christian McCaffrey had a huge game, and pretty much as we called it. I mean, got the nice numbers on the under. A daily pick too was Seattle under 20. I know you had that, so
I had that lean on Kittle yesterday too, and that came through big time. Man, he was great.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was bound to happen sooner or later. I'm really impressed with this Brock Purdy. And as someone that has 49er futures in the NFC.
You do.
I have to tell you, I think that the Niners are going to be a hell of a tough out. I think listen, I know Dallas is a real quality team right now. Philly's obviously the class of the NFC. I still think that the toughest out for either of those teams is going to be the San Francisco 49ers, even if it's Brock Purdy. They don't look like they've taken a step back at all without Jimmy G, to be perfectly honest.
No, they don't. And I'm not trying to slight Jimmy G, just the way that offense operates. We talked about it yesterday on that episode. Seahawks continue to tail in the wrong direction, man. That's they don't look like a playoff team, do they?
Not really. Although the Niners have made pretty much everyone they played since that loss to the Chiefs at home look like not like a playoff team. So that being said, they are certainly trending in the wrong direction at the wrong time of the season. And everything's coming up Niners right now. Extra long week, comfortably. I mean, certainly in the driver's seat after that win. They can pretty much give them the NFC West, so they'll have a home playoff game. And it'll just be interesting to see. It's sort of shaping up like we will have. I wouldn't at all be surprised if come playoff time we see Dallas and San Francisco go head to head. Although I guess with Dallas being further down because they're not going to win the division in all likelihood, with Philly winning it, they may have a couple tough road games earlier on. That being said, we'll worry about the playoffs when we get there. We got 3 games on Saturday and a full slate on Sunday. Fantasy playoffs going on. This is it really is the most wonderful time of the year, Dustin.
You didn't were you going up against George Kittle in any of your fantasy leagues?
No.
Okay, lucky guy. Yeah, I don't think I was either. That would have been a buzzkill. After he sucked all year, then you get in the playoffs. Like, if you're a Kittle owner, congratulations. But if you're going up against him, that's a straight up kick in the nuts. If you're watching on Twitter, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. I see a few of the guys, you, Chaz, Capty, already over chatting on YouTube. Nathan's excited for a mega episode. I like that name for this one, the big mega episode, which is great. And Kyle wants us to keep it rocking, so we'll try to do that as well. Tell your friends about the $1,000 giveaway when we hit 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. One of you is going to win $1,000. We got the Partner Parlay coming up. We've got multiple other parlays coming up, touchdown score as well, but it's Friday, and we're going to start with our best bets. Hassan, there's one game we're both on this week, and it's the Buffalo Bills.
Well, the Buffalo Bills, I love this game. I would have loved it, obviously, a little bit more if we could have gotten less than the full touchdown. But honestly, I don't really care. Miami, I don't want to say Miami's been exposed. I mean, everyone's been getting their ass kicked by the Niners. That happened a couple weeks ago. But, man, that seemed like a real step back last week against the Chargers. And now they go to Buffalo. I've been seeing, I don't know if you've seen the weather forecast for this game tomorrow night. They're getting more lake effect snow. They could have up to 9 inches of snow in and around Buffalo. So they're not moving the game to Detroit this time, folks. Miami's going to have to be there. They had heaters on their sidelines last week in LA when it was 55 degrees. What are they going to be like when they get to Miami? And let's not forget Buffalo. Let's not forget Buffalo lost to the Dolphins earlier this season.
Yes, they did. Something to prove.
So, huge divisional game. A big statement game, I think, for Buffalo to be dominant at home against a division rival. And to be frank, I don't think that the Dolphins are made for the cold. So I like Buffalo. As I said, if I was parlaying it, I might get it to 6.5.
For sure.
I mean, the scoring might not be great. I don't know. Let's see, what's the total in this game right now? 44.5 for two teams that normally put up big numbers. That kind of tells you the apprehension I think the bookmakers have as far as what the scores are going to be. Wouldn't it all be surprised? I would take the under on that, and I can see it's already minus 115. But yeah, I mean, I don't know about you. I think the Bills are poised for a big Saturday and an emphatic win over a division rival. It's
just a tough spot on so many different levels for the Dolphins here. I'm with you. I mean, I'd love it more at 6.5, but I'd probably be willing to go even a little bit higher if I had to, if I had to swallow it. You mentioned the cold factor. You've got that going for you. The Dolphins on the road are almost like, I don't want to say they're not a good football team on the road, but they've lost 4 games on the road this season. Like, the Dolphins on the road are much different than the Dolphins at home. This is also the 3rd straight road game. They just lost the other 2. This team wants to get home. Like, that's what this team wants to do. So I don't see them going into a snow game in Buffalo and coming away with a win. And I'd be very surprised if they actually cover the 7. I mean, Buffalo's built to play in this. The Dolphins don't want anything to do with it. I could see Buffalo. I don't even know if I'd view this as a statement game if they crush the Dolphins. Like, I don't expect anything from the Dolphins in this game, Huss.
It's a spot. And listen, you just mentioned, I mean, these road games, they got absolutely screwed by the schedule maker. I mean, they got flexed into the night game on the West Coast on Sunday and now have to travel back to Miami and now to Buffalo for a Sunday night game outside. This is, they say the scheduled losses on the, you can look at the schedule, that's going to be, this is that spot for the Miami Dolphins. So let's jump on the Bills, lay the points at home, and hopefully start off with a double winner for the best bets.
Where else you going this week, buddy?
Well, full disclosure, and again, I'll tell people this right now because I think I came on a Monday and made a big statement about how don't change your picks after you initially make them.
You did.
I did do that. However, and this is getting to this Jets game, Jets Detroit. A fascinating game. Much like the way I've been riding the Niners, I was on the Jets, and I think, gun to my head, I probably still roll with the Jets on this. I just didn't feel comfortable putting them in the best bets if it's Zach Wilson and not Mike White. Mike White got absolutely killed in that game last week, and man, did he hang in there. He wants to play, but the Jets doctors, credit to them.
Yeah, the doctors are like, no, you can't.
They're not clearing him to play, which means, and what a week, MILF Manor is announced for TLC, and the MILF Hunter, Zach Wilson, gets another start in the NFL. So anyways, I took this game out, and I went in with Dallas. There was 2 games. I was considering the Chiefs, although it never seems to work out well for me taking the Chiefs in the best bets. I think I've had 2 or 3, 4 potential 4-0 weeks that blew up backing my own team. So, but I wouldn't at all be surprised if the Chiefs, put the pedal to the metal and don't let up like they did last week. But it kind of led me to Dallas Cowboys. Now, listen, Jacksonville had a great game last week, coming off getting pumped by the Lions. The Dallas Cowboys barely survived the Houston Texans last week. And I think sometimes when you get a bit of a wake-up call game like that, that's great for practice. It's great for focus. And I think Dallas goes in and avoids a nail-biter this week with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jags have been much better at home. I get it. I just think that these 2 teams are in different classes right now. And I think the scare last week for the Houston Texans against Dallas gives me more confidence that they will be able to light it up and cover the number. My second pick, or I guess my third pick here, is Denver and Arizona. And listen, I hesitate even making this pick because I'll almost have to watch some of it. Both of these teams are going absolutely nowhere. But the loss of Kyler Murray, listen, the Cardinals season was pretty much done already. But it is significant. I don't think Colt McCoy is going to be doing much. And let's face it, the Broncos defense all year long has been outstanding. I mean, they had a rough start against the Chiefs last week, but they came back, acquitted themselves quite well. So I really think that the Broncos defense is going to step up. This is sort of a common theme right now, taking teams with the much better defenses once we get to December. And listen, as bad as Russell Wilson has been this year, if they go with Rippon, I'm not even sure, based on what we've seen from Russ so far, that it's a huge a drop-off. Now, big picture, obviously it is. But I think the Denver defense can hold their own, keep Arizona to minimal points. Certainly, I like the under team total for Arizona in this game, and Denver to cover the 3 points at home. And listen, you know me, I normally don't take a lot of the favorites, and I'm looking for points. It's kind of funny. You're on a few underdogs this week. I had a tough time finding them, but I am going to go with the Chicago Bears +9 against the Philadelphia Eagles. Listen, the Eagles, as we mentioned, have been the class of the NFC all year long. But I do think that Chicago still has a lot to play for right now. And the one thing that they can do is run the football. And that's one thing that Philly has been a little bit susceptible to. And listen, after the game they had last week, looking at what is ahead with the Cowboys, I think this could be a real look-ahead game for the Philadelphia Eagles. So with the Bears at home, really playing for next year at this point, but, a lot of it just on the shoulders of Justin Fields to continue to get comfortable. It's a huge challenge for them going up against this Philly defense. But I'm not sure we're going to get the best out of Philly this week in Chicago. So I'll take the big home dog at +9 with the Chicago Bears at home. Laying points with 3 teams: Buffalo -7, Dallas -4, the Broncos -3, and we'll take that juicy 9 points and hope that the Bears can keep it to a single-digit loss, because I certainly do expect Philly to come out with a win.
So in addition to the Bills -7 that I'm on with us, here's what else I'm going to bring to the table this week. I'm going to go to Pittsburgh +3 here on the road as a dog. This number was sitting at 2.5 for a little while, and I saw this morning at 3, and I was like, that's enough. I'm going to take the Steelers here +3. Nothing against Carolina and what they accomplished last week, but I think we are starting to see what the Seahawks are now. So I don't know if a win against the Seahawks is impressive as maybe we thought it was this time last week. Pittsburgh put up a pretty good fight against Baltimore. This is Mike Tomlin as a dog coming off a loss. If you believe in any sort of trends, Mike Tomlin and the Steelers as a dog coming off a loss to the Ravens have been pretty good over the last 10 years. So you've got that going for you in this game as well. One of the reasons that Carolina has managed to have success lately, and we saw it against Seattle, they ran the ball over 40 times for over 200 yards. I don't think you can do that near as effectively against Pittsburgh. And if you can't, then it's on Sam Darnold. And I'm okay taking Pittsburgh's defense against Sam Darnold to keep this within 3. So I'm going to go on Pittsburgh here, +3 against the Carolina Panthers. I think Pittsburgh's still, we talked about it 4 weeks ago. They've had one of the more difficult schedules in the league this year. I don't think all of a sudden the coaching change has completely fixed the Carolina Panthers. I think they're better, but I'm not in a spot here where I'm going to give Sam Darnold a field goal at home. Host, any thoughts on this game?
Well, yeah, listen, I wanted to take the Panthers so bad. I mean, listen, I can't believe that Panthers to win the division future is alive right now.
It's still alive.
And listen, I certainly hope your next pick comes in and the Bucks lose again. But I echo many of the things that you just said. I mean, I'm not sure I feel comfortable laying points with the Panthers against that Steelers defense. The one thing I'll say about the Steelers that, made me nervous if I was even considering the other side, I don't think Kenny Pickett is going to get cleared to play on the weekend. And they will be announcing their starting quarterback on Saturday, apparently. And it could be Mason Rudolph. So, I mean, I guess Mitch, Mason, whatever. But like we've said before, we've been talking about defenses. It's December.
I'm expecting a low-scoring game here, right? So that's one of the reasons I'd be on them. Cincinnati -3.5. And this is, to me, it's Tom Brady at home. You can't make it any less than, anything bigger than this. You said teams on different tiers. The Tampa Bay Bucks might be a playoff team, but they're not a playoff team. Like, watch
Name
the Tampa
only.
Bay Bucks play. Yeah, they're not a good football team this year. It's just that simple. The Cincinnati Bengals are a Super Bowl contender. They're getting 3.5 here. They're giving 3.5 on the road. Tampa Bay, in their last 10 games, has covered the spread once. They're 0-4 against the spread against the AFC so far this year. They're 0-3 against this division against the spread so far this year. The rest of this division ain't that good. So they still haven't been able to get the job done there. Cincinnati is 9-10 against the spread in their last 10 games. Joe Burrow's like 18-3 against the spread in his last 21. And you get only 3.5 points here down in Tampa. I think Cincinnati rolls in this game. Like, tell me outside of, well, you never know what happens with Tom Brady. Tell me why the Bucs could possibly win this game. Like, because they're at home. They're not good at home anyway this year. So, I don't know. I think Cincinnati's up here, and I think the Bucs are down here, and it's only 3.5. I got to be on the Bengals in this situation.
Listen, I couldn't agree more. I mean, sometimes, laying those points on the road against a team that has historically been good and, should be much better than they are makes me nervous, but not here. Cincinnati is, listen, when we're talking about the AFC, there's the Bills, there's the Chiefs, the Bengals are right there. And I mean, I think that they legitimately have an opportunity to maybe even climb depending on what happens in these final few weeks and come in. Listen, I think it'll be tough for them to get the bye, but they're a problem right now for other teams in the East. And the Bucs aren't a problem for anybody except themselves and their own fans. So I don't know how you could possibly back the Buccaneers based on what we've seen. I mean, they played 3 minutes of good football in the past month. And that was basically handed to them on a silver platter by the New Orleans Saints a couple of weeks ago in prime time right now. So, yeah, I no confidence whatsoever in Tampa, and I don't mind Cincy at all.
They've won 3 of their last 5, the Bucs have, but let's lay this out for you. You mentioned miraculous against the Saints, garbage game. They lost to they beat Seattle. That was a neutral game. That was overseas, so it doesn't even count. And then the other win that they have at home here over the last 2 months is 16-13 over the Rams, which doesn't mean anything right now. These are not teams at the same level of the Cincinnati Bengals. I could see the Bengals winning by 10. You're getting it 3.5 here. So I'm going to hop on Cincinnati. And then my final one, divisional game, should be low scoring. I'll take the 3-point dog no matter what this is in this division. So I'm going to be on Baltimore +3. Huntley is going to play. I think we kind of hesitated a bit earlier in the week to see what was going to happen with Huntley. Obviously, he's not Lamar Jackson. Deshaun Watson, since taking over the Cleveland Browns offense, in 8 quarters, has produced 16 points offensively. 2 points per quarter is what Deshaun Watson and this Browns offense has been averaging. Their run game, even though Nick Chubb's a stud, their run game has been trending in the wrong direction. I look at this game as a low-scoring game that's going to be won on the ground, and Nick Chubb's great. But the Ravens defense, since bringing in Roquan Smith, is the best run defense in the National Football League. And the Cleveland Browns have one of the worst run defenses in the National Football League. So if this game does end up being a battle on the ground, which I'm assuming it will be with Huntley on one side and Deshaun Watson, who can't really do much on the other side right now, I'll take the best defense against the run in the league. And I think the 4th best defense overall since they brought in Smith to get a field goal here on the road against Cleveland. So I'd be surprised if a lot of the damage in this game is done in the air. If it is, I guess I was wrong. But if this is going to be a pound and ground, get it. Like J.K. Dobbins last week made some big plays. He didn't look healthy at all, but I think he helps them big time against this Cleveland Browns run defense, which can't stop anything right now. So I think because of that, to be honest with you, I'll probably have Baltimore money line just as his own bet in this game, maybe a one-off. But yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. I love the fact that we're getting 3.
Yeah, I'm actually on the other side on this one, but I didn't feel good enough to put it into the best bets. I think I'm going to throw a little sprinkle, and I'll have Cleveland in a parlay on the money line. To me, this is literally a coin flip game. I do like Cleveland stepping up. To me, this is a huge game for Deshaun Watson and Kevin Stefanski, to be perfectly honest with you. You make all these sacrifices to get this guy in. okay, we've given him a couple weeks. He should be more comfortable. They're at home playing their arch rival. The one thing that they could do to, I think, brighten the outlook for the Cleveland Browns is to win this football game against Baltimore. And Baltimore is in a real good spot right now after winning that game last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Although I still think Cincinnati is clearly the best team in that division. I'm looking forward to this game. It was just a little too tight for me to jump on. And if I was taking Cleveland right now, you can get -2.5 at -122. But it's interesting to see how this line's moved because it was, I think, 1.5 or 2 a little earlier this week. And obviously there's some money coming in on the Browns.
All right, so there we go. Let's do our partner parlay, and then we'll get into our regular other parlay. So there's our best bets for the week. If you're listening to the podcast, let me recap it one more time for you. I'm on Buffalo -7, Pittsburgh +3, Cincy -3.5, and Baltimore +3. Hutz is on Buffalo -7, Dallas -4, Denver -3, and Chicago +9. And that will bring us to our partner parlay. And Hutz, you getting the Titans involved here?
Well, I am getting the Titans involved, and listen, I thought that was the best game, or maybe Justin Herbert's best game of the season. And it wouldn't at all surprise me for them to, look much better playing, offensively, with the weapons back. But to me, this is Derrick Henry. This is the Derrick Henry game, running all over the Chargers all day long. I think Ryan Tannehill's back. Listen, Chargers can probably win this game. They've played a lot of really tight games and have won tight games so far this season. But man, if we can squeeze the number up past 3 to 3.5, I feel pretty good about Tennessee being in this game and being right there at the end and getting the cover right now. I think if I had to just make a money line pick, I'm probably taking the Chargers at home coming off that win they had last week. But I think Derrick Henry and that Titans offense alone keeps them in the game. And I know you were saying this off air before we went, would not be surprised if we saw a lot of points in this game. Almost surprised, actually, that the number is not higher at 46.5, playing in that stadium, which is for the most part climate controlled. But I'll be looking at some Derrick Henry props once we get to this game. And I do like Tennessee at +3.5, and a couple other games we like on the money line for this one, Dusty.
Yeah, we talked about Denver already a little bit. Probably a low-scoring game is there as well. Cardinals' offense has been extremely disappointing, and that Denver defense has been championship caliber. I mean, the rest of the team, not the case, but the Denver defense has been championship caliber. So that's why we're on Denver money line here. Where are you at on the Vikings in a bounce back spot here, Huss, after a loss to the Lions last week? They had a Colts team. I think they're about a 4-point favorite. If you're looking at some sort of spread play here as well, we just decided to go Minnesota bouncing back here at home on the money line.
Yeah, and I guess this is the early game tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken,
it is.
Right? So it's a good thing we've got the partner parlay out and get it out early. I'm seeing 4.5 right now, or basically 4, I guess, if you ended up going to just got to close this one window. 4 is -115 for the Vikings. I don't trust the Vikings to cover numbers, but I do think that they win this football game. I mean, it would not be exactly what we've seen from the Vikes all year.
Yeah.
Win game, win by 2, win by 3, win an OT, lose by 30, come back and win by 2 or 3. Listen, I think that they are the better team right now. And I think this is an important game for them to get back on it after that loss to Detroit. That, so much was made of the fact that they had this great record and yet were underdogs against the Detroit Lions, and we saw what happened. So Minnesota, I like on the money line, and we talked about it a little bit before in the best bets. I think the Denver Broncos defense is so far and away the best unit in that Arizona-Denver game. We don't worry about the spread on this one. Just try and get the Broncos on the money line and get the win.
All right, so there you go. That's the partner parlay. It's already live, +390. Go to coolbet.com, click on exclusives, and you'll have to get on this thing on Saturday morning, because that's when we're going to get her going with that Minnesota game. All right, let's get into the rest of our parlays here, Huss. We've each got a couple that we're bringing to the table, include a few just money line parlays that are paying in that 350 to 4 range.
Yeah, well, and it's funny. We just talked about Minnesota. Again, don't really trust them to lay the points in the best bets. Do like them to win the game. They're in. Sort of just gave you the rundown why I am leaning towards Cleveland. Certainly, same thing. Don't really have the confidence that they're going to cover the number, but I will give them the nod on winning the game on the money line. And I can't go back now because I've made the bet already. But this Jets Detroit. I mean, I don't know where you're at on this game. I mean, we haven't had it. You can kind of fill me in on this. Like once again, I think the best unit. Like Detroit's been great offensively, but we've also seen them stopped in their tracks. They got shut out and pumped by the New England Patriots early this year. And I think the Jets defense is frankly better than maybe any of the units that they played so far this season outside of the 49ers, I believe. And listen, they scored, what was it? The 38-35 in week 1 against the Eagles, although that was a long, long time. I know Zach Wilson's in. I don't like this as much as I did when Mike White was there. But as I said, we'll roll with that plus 354. That number's probably better now because I made that when the Jets were a 1-point favorite. So, to be perfectly honest, if you're going that, I'll squeeze it out right now for your Minnesota.
Pop it in there, yeah. I'll just quickly chime in on that game because this was a stay away game for me no matter what. I don't think I was touching it, whether the Jets were a favorite or the Lions were a favorite. You said it. I mean, the best unit on the field, and the fact that we'd even put the Lions offense into that conversation is pretty legit. I mean, their offense is good, right? Like with Amon St. Brown, it's a top 5, 6, 7 offense. But that Jets defense is terrific. The Lions have played 4 games in a row indoors. Heading out here, the weather is going to be below like 35 down there. Not really a great Jared Goff spot. And Jared Goff needs to be on for the offense to be great. So I don't think I love the Jets offense enough to think, I'm just staying away. I'm staying away from this game.
No, I hear you. So listen, if you go on it right now, Minnesota, Cleveland, and the Jets are now up to plus 105 on the money line. It's plus 410. So as I said, timing wasn't my friend when I got that one in. And then my other one's another 3-gamer. We talked about Buffalo at the beginning. I really do like it, but got a little bit better of a spread on this one, minus 6.5 if it is a touchdown game. Sometimes we've had some success at buying that extra half point, and it's worked out. Tennessee coming off that terrible loss to Jacksonville. I think Vrabel has them ready to go. I think it's the Derrick Henry show. We're going to get that to plus 3.5. And as I say, we've just teased the extra half point for the Broncos to win by a field goal and not have a push. And that one, when I got in at it, it was plus 452.
Yeah, I got a money line 4-gamer. Cincinnati, I gave you my thoughts on that against the Bucs earlier. Buffalo, we both like the Bills, even minus 7, so throw them on the money line in here as well. We do like Denver's defense to get it done at home against Arizona. And then I decided to go with Washington here. I think they're about a 4-point favorite. This is after the tie, left hand up, that's right. After the tie just a couple of weeks ago, and now Washington's at home. The Giants' offense was never great. Their run game has started to dry up a little bit here as well. I think Washington's defense at home is able to get this job done. So Cincinnati, Buffalo, Washington, and Denver, 3 teams at home, and Cincinnati on the road against a piss-poor Bucs team, plus 383. And then the other one I like to do these totals, and you can adjust these totals more morning of the games if you want to try to move it around a little bit more. But Arizona, Denver, under 38.5. Huss already mentioned the quarterback situation of that game. I don't see Arizona scoring 15 points in this game, and I'm pretty sure Denver's not going to score much more than 20 either. So under 38.5 in that game. Giants and Commanders under 41.5. Of course, they tied 2020, and that went all the way through overtime in that game, and they're still under the 41.5. So give me Washington and the Giants under 41.5. And then I do think Pittsburgh, Carolina is going to be a low-scoring game as well. So I'm going to take that one under 38.5. So I know it's not fun to cheer for the unders, let alone 3 of them on a parlay, but it plays plus 42, and I just don't see a lot of offensive fireworks here. I do like Washington. Just back to my money line pick. They played the Giants, and then they went on a bye. And now they get the Giants again, right? And the Giants had to go play last week. I think that's a pretty nice spot play here for Washington, right? So,
you know what, Dusty? I absolutely love this play. I love your money line parlay. I will be betting it, and I like it so much. I'm suggesting we actually call Uncle Patty because, listen, our partner parlay is going to be off the board very early on Saturday.
Are you thinking Minnesota out, Washington in?
I'm just thinking a secondary pick, Cincy, Washington, Denver money line. All those 3 games are on Sunday, so we'll have more time to keep it up. It's plus 271. I bet we get it at more than 3-1.
So you want a secondary partner parlay?
Yes,
let's do it.
Sunday partner parlay.
Uncle Patty's on. Actually, he's on uncle duty today. He's babysitting his niece and nephew, so he legitimately is Uncle Patty today. But I'll text Jake right now. So we want Cincy, Buffalo,
Washington.
No, Washington and
Cincy,
Denver.
Cincy, Washington.
Ooh, I
Denver,
do like that.
Money line.
Yes, I like that.
So
yes,
we will hopefully get that up this afternoon. So they will likely be 2 lock shop partner parlays.
Perfect.
One that you got to get in before noon tomorrow, and then another one that will ride right through Saturday into Sunday. And I like that one. In fact, I like that one better than the ones I made myself. Nice and good.
I think that's going to be good. I like how it comes together like that. That's a huge bonus for us. All right, let's slide over to our touchdown scores, and we're both on a Chiefs running back, and I think there's a chance both of these hit.
I almost did it. I almost put them both on. I mean, Mahomes, if you saw, Mahomes has something on his hand right now. He is not 100%. He was limited in practice. Like Andy, I don't think Andy's going to go out there and do anything to potentially get him hurt. He's the sort of guy that he'll want to play. We talked about last week where they were up 27-0 and then inexplicably, pumped the brakes a little bit. And Mahomes threw a couple picks, which didn't help. And all of a sudden they were in a bit of a dogfight. The Houston team, I think Houston had their big game last week going toe-to-toe with the Cowboys for the full 60 minutes. I don't think that's happening this week, but I think the Chiefs run all over the Texans all afternoon. And I think
both of these guys are startable in fantasy this week. Both of them.
Absolutely. I'm higher on Pacheco, though. I think partly because of what we said, and you made the great point last week about McKinnon being a guy that they're going to use a lot in big games when they really need to. Pacheco, I think, is going to be a guy that this is a perfect chance for him to get a bunch of touches, tons of carries, and a little more experience for still a raw rookie right now. And listen, he's a load, tough to tackle. I think if there's any goal line action, I think he'll be the guy that gets the nod. So love Isaiah Pacheco at plus 120. And then Tony Pollard sort of riding with this Cowboys pick against the Jags. Pollard has just been unbelievable. A top 10 fantasy running back this year for a guy that wasn't even always a starter through most of the season. And it's in a crowded backfield. He's been unbelievable. I think he keeps going. When I saw that it was plus money against the Jags for Tony Pollard, I couldn't bet it fast enough. So 2 lower numbers, but 2 guys I'm pretty confident get 6 this weekend. I
was very surprised when you sent me over that email or you sent me the text with the TD scores. I was like, Tony Pollard's plus money? Really? So that's great. So yeah, I love both of these. Jerick McKinnon, I mentioned it. Huss made some good points. Maybe the last 2 games, I think it's at least the last 2, maybe the last 3 games, McKinnon has out-snapped Pacheco, and he gets more of those high leverage targets and plays. And they might dial that back, but they involve him enough that I still think he's going to end up finding the end zone here this week. And you laid out the good case for both of these guys being heavily involved. And then Buffalo at home against Miami, message sending game in the snow. Josh Allen is not only scoring a touchdown, he's diving into the end zone to do it. So I'm on Josh Allen plus 163. He's got 6 rushing touchdowns on the year, 2 in his last 3 games. And this is a huge get right game, at least against Miami. A Miami team that probably is not going to want anything to do with the weather. Josh Allen don't mind that snow. I love this one. Plus 163. I thought it should be more down like where McKinnon was. So I'll definitely hop on this.
You got to take it. And just one more thing back to that Chiefs game. I saw my my buddy Benny Heiss, who does some great work for BetSided, tweeting out that he wouldn't be surprised if Pacheco gets in, if McKinnon gets in, if Ronald Jones is active, he might get in. Like, I think we could be talking about, I'm going to see if there's a prop on multiple rushing touchdowns for the Chiefs, because I'm not expecting a massive game for Patrick Mahomes through the air. And I think these guys are going to be eaten right now, especially Pacheco. So should be interesting. Wasn't enough for me. Hey, just very quickly, we did not touch one game, and I'm interested in your thoughts on it. Belichick versus Josh McDaniels, New England at the Raiders. And the Raiders are a 1-point favorite against the Patriots on a short week.
I'm not touching the Raiders. I've said it, buddy. I'm done with the Raiders.
Well, I'm thinking the Patriots.
No, I can't even do the Patriots because the Raiders will ruin it for me. I'm completely avoiding Raiders games because I looked at it. I said, man, Pats, Belichick, like, give it to me. I almost did it. And then I said, no matter what, because I'll take the Pats and the Raiders will win by 18. Like, I can't do it. So that's why I didn't even bother going anywhere near that game. But this would be a Pats lean, right? Like,
well, for me, I mean, it's just basically, on the coaching. I mean, I'm not really impressed with New England, and, they are on the short week and all, but the Raiders are such a weird team. They've had a couple real good moments lately. And then they do what they did last week. I got to say, though, if you look at Bill Belichick going up against his former assistants after they've left the flock, it hasn't been good for the assistants. Ask Matt Patricia. So I just thought we'd bring that one game out because we hadn't touched on it right now. And I don't know. I might throw a little sprinkle on the Patriots, basically just south of even money for a win. And they are +1, and it's -110 on either side. So be another interesting game. But man, triple header tomorrow, full day on Sunday. This is perfect for fantasy playoffs. You can really pay attention to your guys and put a big dent in the couch.
Thank you very much for popping by for another episode of The Lock Shop, brought to you by Coolbet. Jake was actually watching, and he said, I'm on it. The second parlay has been sent over, and I really like that one. I can't wait to see the number on that. That's going to be good. So watch for those in the Coolbet exclusives. If you've been watching on Twitter or you've been listening to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just search @LockShopBets on YouTube, and you can give us a sub over there as well. For everybody who was chatting in the chat over on YouTube today, thank you very much for joining us. Tell your friends about the Lock Shop as well. Enjoy your action. Enjoy all the football action this week, and we'll be back on Monday getting you ready for a Green Bay Packers game, which is always interesting.
Yeah, and you know what? And we're going to have to get Jake on the show next week as well before you take off for a little bit of college football bowl insights. I know he's fired up for every one of these bowl games, and it's the holidays. Sometimes we won't have NFL. We need to get on that. Jake and Patty actually had a great year picking college football games, so we'll make sure to get the fellas on to pick their brains on some of these games coming up in the college football. But for this weekend, NFL, good luck, everyone. Let's keep it rolling.